Welcome back to the channel. If you're tired of the same old, I want to rule the world villains, this video is for you. We're counting down from most evil to least evil, so buckle up. This is going to be a dark ride. Every great fantasy story needs a great villain. But instead of the usual dark lords and evil sorcerers, let's explore 10 unique antagonist ideas that will make your stories unforgettable. Starting at number 10, we have the fallen hero. This villain type hits different because they represent the ultimate what-if scenario. What if the greatest champion in history had one moment of weakness? What if they made a single choice that damned them forever? The fallen hero isn't evil by nature, they're broken. Maybe they made a deal with dark forces to save someone they loved, or perhaps they were corrupted by the very power they used to protect others. They still have all their legendary skills, but now those abilities serve darkness. Here's what makes them devastating. They know how heroes think, how they fight, how they hope. They can predict every noble gesture because they used to make them. And deep down, part of them still wants to be good, which makes their evil acts even more tragic. Here's a character example. Meet Sir Gareth the Sunblade, once the kingdom's greatest hero. When a demon plague threatened to kill his daughter, he made a pact with the very demons he'd spent his life fighting. Now his holy sword burns with hellfire, and he hunts down heroes like his former self, believing that only by destroying all sources of divine light can he keep his demonic masters happy enough to spare his child. Every hero he kills, he whispers an apology to. Number 9. The tragic lover. Love is supposed to be the most beautiful emotion, but when it's twisted by obsession, loss, or betrayal, it becomes one of the most terrifying motivations imaginable. This villain doesn't want power or wealth, they want love, and they'll commit genocide to get it. What makes the tragic lover so compelling is that their core emotion is one we all understand. We've all felt heartbreak, we've all feared losing someone we love, but this villain has let that pain consume them entirely. They've decided that if they can't have happiness, no one can. They're master manipulators because they understand emotional pain intimately. They know exactly which strings to pull to make others feel their anguish. And the scariest part, they often genuinely believe they're the victim in their own story. Here's a character example. Lady Seraphina once had everything: beauty, power, and the love of Prince Aldrich. But when Aldrich died in battle, something broke inside her. Now she's a necromancer who spent decades perfecting a ritual to resurrect him. The catch? It requires the willing sacrifice of 100 couples who are truly in love. She hunts down happy lovers, forces them to watch their partners die, then uses their despair to fuel her magic. In her mind, she's not a monster. She's just a woman trying to get her soulmate back. The betrayer takes the number 8 spot, and honestly, this one keeps me up at night. We're talking about the mentor who trained your hero, the best friend who shared their deepest secrets, the family member who was supposed to protect them. Someone who was trusted completely, now wielding that trust as a weapon. What makes the betrayer so effective isn't just their intimate knowledge, it's the psychological damage they inflict. They don't just know the hero's fighting style, they know their fears, their guilt, their secret shame. They can destroy the hero's confidence with a single, perfectly timed revelation. The betrayer is often driven by jealousy, greed, or desperation, but they've usually convinced themselves that they had no choice. They'll justify their betrayal right up until the moment they strike, making their victims doubt their own judgment about people forever. Here's a character example. Master Theron trained the kingdom's elite mages for 40 years, beloved by students and nobles alike. But when the Magical Academy chose his star pupil, Elena, over him for the position of Archmage, something snapped. Now he's selling state secrets to enemy kingdoms while slowly poisoning Elena's mind with false memories and self-doubt. His students still trust him completely, never suspecting that their beloved teacher is the one feeding their locations to assassins. Theron tells himself he's just correcting an injustice, but really, he can't bear to watch someone he trained surpass him. Number 7. The mirror villain. This is psychological horror at its absolute finest. They want the exact same thing as your hero. Maybe they're both trying to save the kingdom, protect the innocent, or restore balance to the world. The difference? Their methods are absolutely ruthless. This villain forces your protagonist to confront uncomfortable questions. If the goal is noble, do the means matter? If you could save 1,000 lives by sacrificing 10, wouldn't that be the right choice? The mirror villain has already answered yes to these questions, and they'll spend the entire story trying to convince your hero to do the same. They're often charismatic leaders with genuine followers who believe in their cause. The terrifying part is that sometimes their logic almost makes sense. They hold up a dark mirror to your hero's ideals and ask, "What's the real difference between us?" Here's a character example. Captain Lysander and the hero both want to end the war that's been devastating their continent for decades. But while the hero seeks diplomatic solutions, Lysander has decided the only way to achieve lasting peace is through conquest. Specifically, by unleashing an ancient weapon that will kill every person with the capacity for violence. He's not a monster in his own mind. He tells captured heroes, "You've seen the same battlefield graveyards I have. You know peace through kindness is a fantasy. I'm just brave enough to do what you won't." The Shadow Puppetmaster claims the number 6 spot. Here's what makes this villain absolutely diabolical. Your heroes never actually get to fight them. They fight their victims instead. Mind-controlled allies, cursed innocents, possessed loved ones, everyone except the actual threat. This villain understands that physical defeat is temporary, but psychological victory is permanent. They operate through proxies, curses, and manipulation, always staying 3 steps ahead. Every time the heroes think they've won, they discover they've just been dancing to the Puppet Master's tune. The real horror is that the heroes can't use their full strength because they're fighting people they're trying to save. Every victory feels hollow. Every battle leaves them wondering if they're actually making things worse. And somewhere in the shadows, the true villain is taking notes on every heroic weakness they reveal. Here's a character example. No one knows the Weaver's real name or face. They might not even have a physical form anymore. What they do have is a network of enchanted silver threads that can slip into people's dreams and slowly rewrite their thoughts. A beloved king becomes paranoid and tyrannical. A peaceful merchant starts a war. Heroes turn on each other over imagined slights. The Weaver doesn't want to rule the world directly. They want to watch it tear itself apart while they conduct the symphony of destruction from the shadows, savoring every note of chaos they've orchestrated. Number 5, the Corrupted Saint. This villain is what happens when good intentions get hijacked by dark power, and the result is absolutely chilling. Once a beloved healer, priest, or holy figure, they've been twisted by a demonic pact, cursed artifact, or forbidden magic. But here's the terrifying part. They still think they're the good guy. They're not just evil, they're righteous about their evil. They see themselves as divine instruments, purging the unworthy in a brutal crusade for salvation. Their followers aren't afraid of them. They worship them as a savior. This makes them incredibly dangerous because they have both divine power and fanatical support. The corrupted saint weaponizes faith itself. They twist scripture, pervert rituals, and convince people that love requires violence. They're proof that the road to hell is indeed paved with good intentions, and they'll make your heroes question whether religious authority can ever be truly trusted. Here's a character example. High Priestess Celeste was known throughout the realm for her healing touch and compassionate heart. But when a plague began killing children faster than she could heal them, she turned to forbidden blood magic for answers. Now her healing powers require sacrifice. She can cure any disease, but only by transferring it to someone she deems less worthy. She's convinced herself this is holy work, calling her victims offerings to the greater good. Her temple has become a place where the wealthy bring their sick children to be healed, while prisoners and beggars are dragged in as unwilling martyrs. Celeste performs each ritual with tears of joy, genuinely believing she's doing God's work. The shattered mind breaks into the number 4 position, and this villain is pure psychological horror. Their mind has been fragmented, maybe by trauma, dark magic, or exposure to eldritch knowledge, creating multiple distinct personalities that share one body. Each personality has different powers, different motives, and different levels of sanity. What makes this terrifying is the unpredictability. Your heroes might negotiate with the reasonable personality, only to have the savage destroyer take control mid-conversation. They could defeat the cunning strategist, but then face the suicidal berserker who doesn't care about self-preservation. The shattered mind isn't just fighting your heroes, they're fighting themselves. Their internal conflicts create external chaos, and sometimes their different personalities will work at cross purposes, creating disasters no one intended. They're a walking manifestation of fractured reality itself. Here's a character example. The entity that was once Magistrate Corwin now houses 7 distinct personalities after exposure to a cursed mirror that reflected not his face, but his potential selves. The judge seeks to establish perfect order through law. The child wants to play deadly games with living dolls. The scholar obsesses over forbidden knowledge that drives others mad. The lover romantically pursues people by stalking and imprisoning them. The beast simply wants to hunt and kill. The martyr tries to die heroically to end the other's crimes. And the void just wants everything to stop existing. None of them remembers being Corwin, and they all think the others are intruders in their body. Number 3, and this is where things get really dark, the living curse. This villain embodies corruption and decay made manifest. They're not just evil, they're disorder personified, a walking apocalypse that spreads sickness and rot wherever they go. What makes them so profoundly horrifying is their fundamental opposition to life itself. They don't just kill, they corrupt, making everything they touch fundamentally wrong. The living curse represents our deepest existential fear, that nothing lasts, that everything we love will eventually rot away, and that maybe decay is the natural state we're all desperately trying to avoid. Healing magic fails in their presence, plants rot while still alive, and even the air becomes poisonous. They're not just spreading death, they're spreading the truth that death has always been winning. But here's the philosophical nightmare that makes them truly compelling. They often believe they're revealing the ultimate truth about existence. In their warped worldview, decay isn't destruction, it's honesty. They see beauty, growth, and life as elaborate lies we tell ourselves, and they think they're doing the world a favor by showing everyone what really lies beneath our pretty illusions. Here's a character example. Archdruid Malachar was once the guardian of the Emerald Grove, so powerful he could make desserts bloom with a touch. But when a magical plague swept through his grove, killing every tree, animal, and plant in his care, including his beloved wife and children who had been transformed into dryads, he embraced the disease instead of fighting it. Now his once verdant skin weeps infectious pus, swarms of plague flies orbit him like loyal pets, and his breath turns flowers to ash. He travels from forest to forest, turning them into rotting marshlands, genuinely believing corruption is nature's truest form, and whispering to trees as they die that they're finally free from the burden of pretending to be eternal. The Abyssal Fiend claims the number 2 spot, and for good reason. It's pure nightmare fuel. This villain isn't mortal at all, but a creature spawned from the depths of a hellish or alien dimension. They don't just want power or revenge, they want dominion, dragging the mortal world into their nightmarish realm until reality itself rots under their influence. What makes the Abyssal Fiend terrifying is their inhuman nature. They don't think like mortals, don't feel compassion, and don't negotiate in any way humans would understand. To them, suffering is music, flesh is clay, and entire civilizations are nothing but kindling for their infernal crusade. Their grotesque body is a living weapon, writhing tentacles, fanged maws, or molten chitin, and their presence alone warps the environment. Shadows grow too long, fires burn cold, and the sky bleeds. The Fiend's evil goes beyond brute strength. They corrupt. Mortals who serve them willingly, cultists, warlocks, desperate kings, become twisted mockeries of themselves, spreading terror even faster than the Fiend can. And those who resist risk losing their souls, their sanity, or their bodies to its influence. The Fiend doesn't just kill you, it unmakes you, transforming you into something monstrous that will serve its horde forever. Here's a character example. The Abyssal Fiend, known as Vorath Kul, the Maw of Drowned Worlds, first appeared when a coastal kingdom built a temple over a black fissure in the sea. Rising from the trench came a leviathan with a body of rotting scales and burning eyes, crowned in spines that dripped with abyssal ichor. Voroth speaks in whispers that drive sailors mad, commanding tides of corrupted sea creatures and drowned corpses as his army. His goal is simple: to flood the world, sinking all lands into an endless abyss where he alone reigns supreme. And our number one spot goes to the corrupted god, the ultimate nightmare of divine power gone wrong. When a deity falls, they don't just become evil, they become the very definition of evil for their entire pantheon and everyone who ever worshipped them. Once benevolent, loving, and protective, they've been twisted by cosmic betrayal, fallen to their own unchecked ambition, or been consumed by some primordial force that exists beyond even divine understanding. What makes the corrupted god the ultimate villain is the sheer scale of their threat and the psychological horror of inverted divinity. They don't just endanger kingdoms or continents, they want to reshape the fundamental nature of reality itself. They have the power to rewrite cosmic laws, turning concepts like mercy, justice, and love into their corrupted opposites. When a god decides that compassion is weakness, mercy becomes a sin, punishable by eternal torment. The most terrifying aspect is that they're still recognizably the deity people once loved, but everything they represent has been inverted. Their voice still carries divine authority, their presence still inspires awe, but their miracles now damn instead of bless. They're served by fanatical cults who don't see their god as fallen, they see them as evolved, as having transcended petty mortal concepts of good and evil. This makes them almost impossible to fight, because defeating them means destroying everything their followers believe gives existence meaning. Here's a character example. Aethon the Lightbringer was once the god of hope, healing, and new beginnings, the deity pregnant women prayed to, the divine force that helped crops grow after harsh winters, the light that guided lost travelers home. For millennia, he answered prayers with gentle miracles and quiet blessings, nurturing mortal potential with infinite patience. But as he watched mortals use his gifts of hope and healing to wage increasingly brutal wars in his name, crusades justified by divine mandate, genocides committed in pursuit of purification, something fundamental broke inside his divine consciousness. Now he wants to mercy kill the universe by draining all hope from existence, believing a world without hope is a world without pain. His priests spread divine contentment by magically removing people's ability to dream, aspire, or imagine better lives, granting prayers by giving people exactly what they want while stripping away their ability to ever want anything else again. Here's your bonus tip. No matter which villain type you choose, give them a personal motive that feels real. Don't just make them want to take over the world. Maybe the corrupted god was betrayed by their fellow deities. Maybe the fallen hero lost everything they were trying to protect. Personal stakes make villains unforgettable. So which of these villain ideas caught your attention? Are you team corrupted god, or does the mirror villain speak to your dark storytelling soul? Drop a comment below and let me know which one you'd use in your next story. Or better yet, tell me how you'd twist one of these concepts to make it your own. If this video helped spark some villainous inspiration, hit that like button and subscribe for more fantasy writing tips. Until next time, keep writing those nightmares into reality.